Okay, let's continue. So now the Chofetz Chaim discusses in Lav Dalid the Aveira of Lifnei Iver Lo Siten Michshol. Don't put a stumbling block in front of a blind person. Now this means, the Gemara tells us, that if you help someone else do an Aveira, that's a lav in the Torah. If I do something which causes or allows you to do for you to do an Aveira, that's Lifnei Lo Siten Michshol. Ki kol echad nosein michshol lifnei chaveiro she'ar v'lav mfarshim b'Torah. So certainly, one who speaks lashon hara and one who hears lashon hara violates this lav. If you speak lashon hara, so you're causing the listeners to hear lashon hara. If you weren't there, they wouldn't be hearing lashon hara. And if you're listening to lashon hara, so then you're causing the speaker to violate lashon hara. If there were no listeners listening, then the speaker won't be speaking lashon hara. He'll be speaking to a wall. Speaking to a wall has other things associated with it, but it's not lashon hara. Why is the guy talking to a wall? So the Chofetz Chaim says over here in Lav Dalid that lashon hara speakers, both the speakers and the listeners, violate lifnei iver lo siten michshol. He quotes here in the footnote Dalid, that the Gemara in Bava Metzia quotes lifnei iver regarding ribis, regarding taking interest. If a person lends or borrows money for ribis, so the Gemara explains that the borrower if you borrow money and pay back with interest, that's an isur d'oraisa in the Torah. You can't do that. So the Gemara explains that the borrower and the lender also violate lifnei iver. The lender is causing the borrower to borrow, and the borrower is causing the borrower. The Gemara says that the borrower violates lifnei iver because the borrower is causing the lender to violate the aveira. If the borrower didn't borrow the money didn't want to take the loan, the lender wouldn't be giving the loan with interest. So just like the Gemara says that the love, that the borrower violates lifnei iver. Why? Because the borrower is causing the lender to lend money beribis. Because if the borrower wasn't there, he wouldn't lend to nobody. So too, the listener of lashon hara is causing the speaker to violate lifnei iver. Because if the listener weren't there, the Chofetz Chaim writes, if there's no one listening, he won't be talking to a wall. As we said, that's the example we gave before. You're not going to talk to a wall. So this is lifnei iver, and lifnei iver applies to lashon hara. Then the Chofetz Chaim goes on to explain that there's a difference maybe between the lifnei iver of the speaker and the lifnei iver of the listener. Now the Chofetz Chaim makes a very subtle point, a subtlety here, and halacha l'maisa, this subtlety is not so important because it's us or any. Well, we'll see why. Let's read it inside first, and then we'll go back. Let's read it inside. The Chofetz Chaim makes the following point: a subtle difference between speaking lashon hara, lifnei iver of speaking lashon hara, and lifnei iver of listening to lashon hara. And I'll explain why. Halacha l'maisa, the subtlety is not so halacha l'maisa. So let's see inside. There's a difference between the speaker and the listener. Over b'lav zeh beinim hashomim rabim u'muatim ve'adarabba kol sheyisrabu hashomim yisrabu b'lav zeh. As far as speaking lashon hara goes, the speaker violates lifnei iver whether he's speaking to one person or he's speaking to many people. It's still and adarabba, even more so. If you're speaking to many people, it's even worse. Because if you're speaking lashon hara to 10 people, you're causing all 10 to hear lashon hara. If you're speaking to one person, you're causing one person. Speaking to 10, you're causing 10. So the more listeners, the worse it is. So as far as the speaker goes, the more listeners, the worse it is. More and more people are doing the aveira, or hearing the lashon hara. But lochein hamakabel, regarding the listener, it's as follows: Efshar de'eino over b'lav zeh. It could be, as far as this lav of lifnei iver, the listener doesn't violate lifnei iver unless he's listening by himself. Shimon is listening to Reuven speak lashon hara. If Shimon left the room, Reuven would stop talking. He's not talking. He's not, no more lashon hara. So if Shimon stays there and listens, it could be it's lifnei iver. But what if Shimon's not by himself? What if there are 20 people there? And if Shimon left the room, there'll be 19 people. Reuven is still speaking lashon hara. So in that case, Shimon is not causing Reuven to speak lashon hara. He'd speak lashon hara anyway. So the Chofetz Chaim says that if it's a large group, it could be each person in the group isn't violating lifnei iver because the lashon hara would continue even without him. Let's see it inside. If there are many people there, maybe the listener isn't violating this lav lifnei iver because the lashon hara would happen without him. That's what the Chofetz Chaim says. We'll see in the footnotes. He quotes a very important source for this.